everyone. Hope you ate well. Yeah? Please don't fall asleep, okay? Yeah. Right. Welcome to Power BI Bookmarks in 20 minutes. So let's not waste time. We're going to talk about Power BI Bookmarks, and I'm Prati Kamasani. I work as a group manager at Avanade. We have a booth. Come and see us at the booth. We have a lot of swag and so many things to win. And I am a Microsoft valuable professional. I'm really honored to be part of that. And I'm also Fast Track Solution Architect since 2021. I organize London Power BI user group. So if you're interested in Power BI, we have a user group here today in the evening with the amazing Power BI team. We have Chris in the audience. He's going to be there as well. And I'm an amateur painter. Maybe that's why the color, the love of visualizations, and the whole color thingy comes in. But if you have any questions about today's session or just data visualizations or things, if you just want to be in touch, those are my details. So let's jump in and see what we can learn in 20 minutes about Power BI bookmarks. So the Power BI bookmarks, when you create a bookmark in the Power BI, what it does is it captures the current state of your bookmark. When we say current state, what it does is it captures all this information when you create a Power BI bookmark. So how do we create one? You could go to Power BI Desktop or Power BI Service. You could click on the bookmarks. And if the bookmark window is not already open, it opens the bookmark window. And you could click on the add, and then it creates that bookmark for you. And every time you do that, these are the things that saves with the bookmark. So you need to remember, there are quite a few options that actually captured every single time you create a bookmark. So there are basically two types of bookmarks with Power BI. Don't worry, I will give you the slides. So don't worry about taking pictures. If you want, you can totally take the pictures. But if you miss it, I will send it later. So there are two types of bookmarks. One is personal bookmarks and report bookmarks. So the personal bookmarks, basically, you can create them in the Power BI service. In the Power BI service, when you go to your report, you click on the bookmarks, and there comes the personal bookmark. You click on the Add Personal Bookmark, and you could give a name, save, and then it appears in the bookmarks menu. The report bookmarks are the ones that you see in the below. So there are two sections. One is personal bookmarks, and one is report bookmarks. So the personal bookmarks is basically useful and used only in the Power BI service. Report bookmarks, yes, you can create them in the Power BI service, but most of the times you probably create report bookmarks in the Power BI desktop. So what is the difference between personal bookmarks and the report bookmark? The personal bookmark is usually created by the report viewer, and the report bookmarks are created by report designer. So to create a report bookmarks, you need edit permissions. You either need the Power BI desktop to create a Power BI desktop file to be able to create it, or you need edit permissions to be able to create them in the Power BI service. On the other hand, the personal bookmarks, you just need view permissions. If you can view the report, you can create personal bookmarks. The report bookmarks, as I said, you could create in the Power BI desktop or the service. On the contrary, personal bookmarks, you can create them only in the Power BI service, which means those personal bookmarks are very personal to you. They don't travel with the report. What it means is when you're sharing the report to somebody, when somebody else is viewing the report, they don't see your personal bookmarks. They are very personal to you. But report bookmarks, you either create them in the Power BI desktop or you create them in the Power BI service. They travel with the report. When you share them, the report bookmarks travels with the report. I don't really know. I tried creating quite a few bookmarks to see what is the maximum number of bookmarks you could create in a Power BI file. And I could create on and on and on. So I don't really know, and I didn't find a documentation to say how many Power BI report bookmarks I could create. But the personal bookmarks, you could create only maximum 20. So that's a quick difference between report bookmarks and the personal bookmarks. So that is pretty much everyone who uses a Power BI must know bookmarks. It's like, it's in one of the probably known feature which was kind of created by developers than the actual developers in the Power BI team. It feels like that. I'll talk more about that in a sec. The thing many people forget is the more options of the bookmark. It's not only just creating the bookmark, there are much more options available for each bookmark we create. So let's first look at what options are available for the personal bookmarks. So in the Power BI service, when you create a personal bookmark, there is an option to say, make it default view. So what it means is you create a personal bookmark, and you can say next time when I come see, this is the default view I wanted. Again, it's personal to you. It doesn't travel with the report. And if somebody come and republish the report with the whole data set and everything, that is get overwritten as well. That is something to remember. Is like it is not permanent. And yeah, it is created by the viewer and a default view for the user. So that is the more options which are available for the personal bookmark. But when we look at the report bookmarks, when you click on the little ellipses, there are quite a few options available for the report bookmarks. So let's see what are those options. So first four, which are update, rename, delete, group. They're quite self-explanatory. You can read them, you know what happens. Next one are the ones which are important, which are data, display, and the current page. Let's look what happens, what are they and what happens when you choose those options. So the first one, data. So that is the option data. What it basically does is it applies filters, drills, and the sort state. So for example, this is my base report. I have a little slicer on the top, and I have a thing in the bottom. So when I choose a slicer, and I create a bookmark, and on the side, you could see my bookmark. I'm naming it data on. And as you could see, by default, it has the little checkbox next to the data. And that is I created that bookmark. So this is my database. Because of the screen, you don't really see it's got selected. The gray background you don't see, but you could see it's a bit bold. So this is my database. I don't have any slices selected. But when I go to data on, as you can see, my data is already pre-filtered for the United Kingdom. Because when I created that slicer, I sliced it for the United Kingdom. So what I did is I sliced on a data option. And because I have the data on, when I move between data on and data off, it saves that one. You can see that one, the pre-filtering, by going to little filter option. And as you could see, it is pre-filtered to United Kingdom. So that is what the data does. So let's actually go back and see what happens. So for example, I created another bookmark where I have data off. And now I go to my database. I go to my data on. I choose a slicer for India. I go to data off. The slicer is still on. So the same slicer I chose before, it's still same. So what it does is because the slicer doesn't get overwritten, the data option doesn't get overwritten. You're moving from one bookmark to the other bookmark, but the data option is still same. So let's have a quick look. So when I go to data on, it's still pre-filtered to United Kingdom. When I go to data off, it was showing because previous step, I had India chosen. When I go to data off, it again chose me India. But for example, from here, United Kingdom, if I go and click on the data display, when the data is off, it will show me United Kingdom because it's just the same slicer. The data condition is same. So that is a very quick way to show what is data does. The next option is display. So basically, what the display option is, when you want to work with apply visual display state. So let's see what happens then. For example, I have a page here, and I create a bookmark with the visual spotlight. So now when I move from display on and display off, what it does is when I go to my visual again, it will show me only that spotlighted visual. So when you basically use the display is when you want to showcase a story. So this is why I feel like the very first time Power BI team created bookmarks, it was created more to show the art of, to show this view option. So for example, here, when you go to the Power BI service, or even in the Power BI desktop, you go to bookmarks. Let me close this one so I could show you. You go to bookmarks, show more bookmarks, and then you have this view option. So when you click on the view, what happens is you get all your bookmarks. So for example, you want your bookmarks to do a presentation. Like, you want to showcase your report as a story. So that's when you could create all the bookmarks one by one, and you could navigate one after other over here. So you could click on each of them, and that takes you from one to the other. So instead of actually using buttons or shapes or images to actually create an action, if you don't want that, you could just use this view pane and navigate from one to other to do the storytelling. So for example, if I go to my display on again, so this is when it is quite nice. For example, you're doing a presentation for somebody, some leadership in your organization. You're telling a story, but you want when you come to this place, you want to showcase this one visual. So that's when you could put that visual in the spotlight and talk about that visual when you're doing that showcase. And it's not only one visual. You could you could probably add a few labels on that one visual or something like that to elevate your story that you're trying. So this option, the display option, is basically works when you want to do view option. The other way I think the display option works good is when you want to, if you're using bookmarks to do documentation of your report, is for example, you could highlight something and say, okay, this is what's happening, and this is what. So if you could sometimes use bookmarks to document things as well. So that's when you could also use this one. But most of the times, the best use is when you are using the view window in your bookmarks. So the next thing, current page. Seriously, I had to work so much to find a view case for this one. I really don't know why that option is available. Maybe it would have made sense in the very beginning when bookmarks was not that powerful. But in the current state, you probably don't really need it. The one use case I found probably useful for the current page is, basically current page is to switch to the associated page. So you are in one page. To go back to that page, that's when you basically use the current page. So in my case, like in the current bookmarks, you don't need it. You have so many grouping, other options, so you don't really go back to the same page. Really, you never need it. But if you want to show filter, pan, without any other impact, that's when this option would work. So for example, imagine you created a page. You created a report page, and you have quite a few filters in your report page. You want your user to be able to go and click on filter pane without explaining the user to go and click on the filter pane, because they may not know the filter pane exists on the side because it's quite hidden. But you don't want the filter pane to appear all the time. So what you could do is you could create a little bookmark with the current page option. So what it does is you could click on that one, and you can do that one. So that is the current page thing. And it's also good to reset. The all visuals and the selected visuals are two other options. So when it's all visuals, all changes apply to all the visuals. So for example, whatever you create, the changes you make applies to the whole visuals. And for the selected visual means you select a visual, and the change applies to only that one. So when I create the visual, in this case, this is the only thing. So when you're talking about the cross-filtering, that is when selected visual works. So why I love bookmarks Obviously, it creates the app interface. What is the best thing about bookmarks compared to page navigation and other things is bookmark doesn't flicker. When you're moving from one page to the other page, bookmark doesn't flicker. But the page navigation, it flickers. So it gives you that seamless one. Why I don't like bookmarks, it's a pain. It is a real pain. So by considering the time, I'm going to quickly think about it. So how we could ease the pain of the bookmarks there are 6 steps I came up with. So first thing is you decide your story. What is that you want to tell? You decide your size, your theme, and everything. And also your visual state. Once you figure that out, the next thing is you want to create, like, what kind of visual you're creating. The next thing is, for your story, for example, you're creating 3 bookmarks, create 3 pages. Put everything in those pages in the right state. And then group all those things in your bookmark. So next thing is, once you have those 3 pages, group everything in that one. For example, I have sales, group all the things I need for those ones. Once you group them, copy and paste everything back into your main page. So this way, what happens is, if you're working with a client and you want to go and tell your client is like, are you sure this is what you want? If they change on one page. You don't have to go and make changes to everything. First, get an approval. This is exactly what they want. Then bring everything. And in this case, as you could see, I hidden my groups. Now what I do is, first I create one bookmark. And then what I do is, this is a good bit. So it's like, first I create one bookmark. And then, Then I hide and hide. So what you do is, first you create the base bookmark. Then you go back to you unhide other group. You create the next bookmark. You go back and you create other bookmarks. So that way, you could nicely be able to, you could always go back to the base bookmark. You have the base bookmark, so that it's not too difficult to do it. So that is what's going to happen there. And the next important thing is, make sure you name your bookmarks nicely. Give a report name, and then talk about what is the bookmark. And afterwards, group them in together with your actual report page. So that way, it is easy to go back to which bookmark belongs to what page. Because there is no easy way to find the orphaned bookmarks. So if you name it, at least that way you could find the orphaned bookmarks. And document. Is like, there is so many things you could document. My favorite one is create a OneNote and create it the same structure as your bookmark and the report page. So at least you know, and you could take screenshots and keep it there. Thank you. Or you could keep a text box within your group. And groups are really good is because next time, if you want to add extra visual to your group, you could always add it to the group. Instead of putting it somewhere, if you add it to the group, you don't have to make some changes. It automatically, entire group is hidden or entire group is shown. So that is a good way to do that one. And in the same group, you could keep the text box and hide it all the time. But in that text box, document what's happening in that group. So that is a good way to document as well. So in 4 steps, first think about, do you need a bookmark? Next, naming convention is very, very, very important. Group bookmarks so you could use them as a placeholders as well. Then document your bookmark. And on that note, in this 20 minutes, I hope you learned some bookmarks. Please find me if you have any questions. Feedback before you leave the room. Thank you so much. Thank you.